Hi, I'm Anthony Sammarco and I'm the author of Lost Boston. Today we're in Haymarket Square in downtown Boston. This is an area that most Bostonians know as the place where fruits and vegetables can be got at wonderful, costly savings. During the period of the 17th and 18th century, Boston would have market days. And of course today, in the 21st century, Haymarket is something that brings people on Fridays and Saturdays for bargains. But during the period of the 19th century, this area would be developed tremendously. Charles Bulfinch would see the infilling of what became known as the Bulfinch Triangle, an area that would lead to what is today Causeway Street, Merrimack Street, and of course New Chardon Street. This area, which was a triangular piece of land, would be infilled using soil that would create new land that would be built upon. Beginning in the 1830s and 1840s, Boston's means of transportation would change tremendously. And by 1840, this area, the Haymarket Square area, would actually become the terminus of the Middlesex Street Railway concern. And during that period, transportation would be increased because in 1843, the Boston and Maine Railway, which connected Boston and Portland, Maine, would be chartered. The following year, in 1834, the Boston and Maine Terminal was built in basically what is today known as Haymarket Square. And the Haymarket, which was named for the hay that was sold at the market, would actually see a park laid out in the 1840s in front of the Boston and Maine Terminal. That was a circular park with a cast iron fence, and in the center, where hay had been sold for generations, had now actually a playing fountain as well as a gas lamp. And throughout the period from the 1840s right through to 1897, when all of this was swept away and the Boston and Maine Railroad Depot was moved to Causeway Street at what was called Union Station, the area itself would be redeveloped. But by the 20th century, Haymarket Square itself was something that was really quite different. It was within this area that was a thriving crossroads between the North End and the West End of Boston. Hundreds of thousands of people lived in the city. And during the period of the early 20th century, City Hospital would establish a relief station here at Haymarket Square. And that relief station didn't just provide medical care for the residents of the West End and the North End, but it also had doctors and nurses that spoke the native tongue that was actually the preponderance of mostly Italian, Jewish, and also Polish. And in the instance of the 20th century, much of this area itself would be redeveloped after World War II. Boston was going through the throes of urban renewal, and in that period we would see much of the area of the West End being cleared, and of course the JFK federal buildings being constructed, as well as of course the Haymarket Square garage. In a lot of ways, this is an area that has seen tremendous growth and change. But beginning with Bulfinch's Triangle in the period of the early 19th century, it's evolved today into an area that has seen tremendous change.